Alright mates, welcome back to the channel. Really quick video here, kind of want to do. I actually just got off the phone with a mate, and we talked about this specifically for him. But I want to tell everyone a quick story. Pro staffers, okay? Promo staff, pro staff, content providers. Because it's a big thing. And there's a lot of misconceptions, and a lot of people don't understand how to do it, don't understand what it means, what the expectations are. And all that. So we're going to start a series on that coming up. But I want to tell you a quick story, okay? Because I think this will benefit a lot of people, especially those that have been involved in tournaments or club fishing or tournament fishing, and are trying to break through and all that. Had a mate, buddy of mine, grew up with. Actually went, did not go to the same colleges. He went to Virginia Tech. I went to Virginia Military Institute. At the same time, but we ended up both going into the military together at the same time. We always enjoyed fishing, always growing up, did things both, tried our hand at tournament angling back in the day. And to be honest, he worked harder at it than I did, but never really broke through. Didn't win any tournaments, didn't get in. Back in those days, it was Redman, there was FLW, it was back long before MLF and things like that. Now we're where we are today, and we kind of know what the social media platforms are today. So it was basically just tournament angling, and he never could make breakthrough. With success. But he had that dream and he had that passion, right? And it was more about the work. He spent more time on the water than me. He spent more time on his equipment than me. He spent more time reading, everything and watching the old VCR tapes, okay, on fishing and on everything. But it just didn't happen for him. Now, 30 years later, 25 years later, we live in a totally different environment, okay? All that work and effort he put in created his habit. It created who he is, right? In terms of all the commitment that you do and put in the work. That stuff's not equated with whether or not you win or not. It takes those characteristics you take off the water into your job, into your relationships, into your community, into your church or synagogue or temple, whatever it is. It becomes who you are, that level of commitment. And ironically now, with careers going different ways, and moving and being separated and all that, lo and behold, he now makes more money, okay, than a lot of tournament anglers. And he doesn't fish tournaments anymore, okay? He took that fishing and outdoors passion that he's always had, that he could never translate to tournament wins and what his dream was, into providing content, being a promo staff person for major outdoor brands in the fishing industry, in the camping industry, in the hiking industry, and translating that to more income than he would if he won. And for example, it was like in a roundtable discussion with some other people that are content providers. It was really interesting to learn, and especially when you speak to anglers, that there are anglers out there that are making more money, having careers from social media, whether that be YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you name it, Reddit, Tumblr, whatever platforms, Discord, Twitch, whatever platforms that are being utilized. They're generating more income from content providing than a person, for example, I mentioned this the other night in a live stream, than the national champion of the Tournament of Champions for Hobie in the kayak, or KBF, or winning a open event, winning an MLF event, winning any of that stuff. Obviously not the Bassmaster Classic and all of that, but I mean, like, how many people are consistently winning $100,000 bass events, right? Very few. Very few. Okay? But to parlay that passion of not being able to fulfill his dream of getting to the bass. Back then it wasn't really called the Elite Series, but I think it was called the Pro Series. But getting to that level of fishing, into still having that part of his DNA, to where he's taken that passion and translated that into pro staffing, content providing, consulting for brands that want to get on TikTok, consulting for brands that want to get in the streaming aspect, all of that stuff. And that's not even his full-time job. So when people ask me a lot about, like, content and people knock and, whatever about content providers and stuff, there's a lot of people who don't understand, really why they do what they do, how they do it, how many hours it takes to edit videos, how many hours it takes. There are some guys that are just absolutely light years ahead, especially those guys who have a photography, videography background. If you've seen drone footage, got their drone pilot's license, if you've seen some of this stuff, is just unbelievable. And partnering with now states and state parks and tourists, ecotourism, okay? All of this stuff is there now because of social media, because of the phones, because of everything, of how portable everything is now. You look at in the angling community, you're right in the boat. You're right in the boat on these MLF events and bass events, and KFL events to a lesser extent. But you're right in the boat. 10 years ago you weren't. So access, all that content-driven stuff is a massive, massive market that's being filled. And it's being filled by people who are passionate and committed, and it has nothing to do with, necessarily talent level. Because you'll find that a lot of people will be like, a lot of people will walk up to people and be like, man, you got 20,000 followers, you got 15,000 followers, you got 45,000 followers on Instagram or on TikTok or on Facebook, whatever it may be. And the real people that keep it real understand that doesn't mean they're an expert, okay? That the number of followers you have a lot of people equate that to if you must be an expert because you have 100,000 followers on Instagram. It also could be that smart people know how to generate followers and subscribers and all of that. Because that's the name of the game in content. And if you're a pro staffer and you want to be a pro staffer, you want to be able to deliver to your brand analytics and metrics demonstrating your commitment to them. It's not their commitment to you. When you partner with that company or that brand, it's your commitment to them, to represent them, to represent their brand to your community. You build your community. They're not going to help you build your community. You need to build your own community first through however mechanisms you need to do. Okay, and you need to understand and learn and develop over time. It doesn't happen overnight. People will tell you that people on YouTube that now have 30, 40, 50,000 followers, it took them 2, 3, 4 years to get that. It did not happen overnight. And so you build out your community, your network, okay? And then you have to be authentic with your passion in terms of the brands you represent, because inevitably it's all relationships. Okay? So you then take that relationship and then represent. And how you represent authentically will determine how successful you are in terms of for your brands and the brands and companies that you represent. They will know, and you will be able to know and demonstrate what your impact has been. They're called engagements. They're called impressions. It's not about how many people follow your channel per se. It's how many people you reach through your engagement, which are views. I mean, you could have hundreds of thousands of views, but only have like maybe 500 followers. Okay? It's not about followers. Okay? That's just your community metric of growing growing people that are, it's really about views and engagement. Okay? And a lot of people fall short on that. It's not simply just posting one post once a month for your brand debate that maybe you're a pro staff for. It's constantly posting 5-7 times a week about the brand and what the brand delivers and how the brand is not just a brand but a solution for your community, your audience, and why they should be using those baits, how they should be using those baits, right? Where they can be procuring those baits. All of that stuff through your videos, through your commentary, through your live streams, through your getting on podcasts with people to get your brands out in front of people. All that's a cumulative effect of you building your community. And only then will everything start trickling together in terms of what it really means for you to be a pro staffer or a promo staff or a content provider, right? Off the water, independent of your tournament competition or your tournament dream or your aspirations or all of those things, all the commitment and everything that you're doing on the water, you can take that and transfer that into something that you're growing along the way, in which off the water you become every bit as successful as you may or may not, become on the water that complements what you're doing. Okay? And so your community that you build is really the core basis of everything that's going to happen for you in terms of garnering authenticity and respect in the community. You want people to believe in what you say. You want people to basically gravitate to you, gravitate to your brands, gravitate to all those things that you're doing, and in effect, change people. Put people on. Don't be afraid. Like the biggest mistake that people, and I hear this from people that I know in the industry, okay? The biggest mistake that a lot of people make is they play things so tight to the vest. They feel like they don't want to give up the juice. They don't want to tell people how to fish places, what lures to use in places, because they're a tournament angler. Okay? What are the chances you're going to win that tournament anyway? 1 in 200. If it's a Hobie event, 1 in 200. You got a 1 in 200 shot. Okay? But off the water, the more information, the more transparent, the more open you are about how you fish, where you fish, what you fish, and you're not holding back, and you're not, because you're worried at the end of the day that you're going to give up the juice and someone else is going to come and outfish you and all of that. At the end of the day, if you keep doing that, you're not going to be anywhere. You're going to be in the same place that you are right now in 2 years and 3 years with no community of any consequence. Okay? And no tournament wins. Hopefully you get some tournament wins along the way. But I'm just saying, right? When you become that and you become relaxed, this is why when I talk to a lot of people ask me a lot about, why I do things, why I don't do things. It's really why a lot of people in my close knit aren't into tournaments. We're not tournament driven people, because tournaments have pros and cons, and oftentimes the cons will outweigh the pros unless you are just off the chart ballistically talented. And that comes with its own set of fleas. But if you're not, and you're not, you're not finishing, and you're not winning, and you're tournament, you're away from your family, you're spending thousands of dollars, you're doing all these things. Half of you are divorced. Let's be honest. Half of the people that I've met in bass fishing are divorced. Okay? Why? Because of the impacts it does on families. When you make that kind of commitment, and other people don't perceive there being any rewards, okay? That you're just banging your head, even though you're doing all the work, even though you're doing everything. And this is a way, pro staffing, content providing, is a way that you can circle back with your family and with everybody. Get them involved. Get everyone involved and understand that, there's a broader, bigger thing than just winning a tournament. Tournament wins are great, okay? But I'm comfortable enough in my skin that I don't care, okay? Compete in tournaments, but for me, it's not about getting a check cut. It's not about winning. It's about the experience. It's also about, the way my mind is, it's about content. It's about understanding. It's about all that stuff. If a win comes, a win comes. But that's not what's driving a lot of people. And some people will say that, those aren't competitive people. I'm pretty damn competitive, okay? But I just don't allow tournament angling and what I've seen to so many people, where it's basically destroyed their personal life. It's led them down a dark road, okay? And you know what I'm talking about, all right? And you just don't want to do that. You want to be able to infuse some other positive things, a community of people, and have fun with it. And I'm telling you what, when you have fun with stuff and you get relaxed and a lot of times things come. A lot of times things come that you would never, ever expect. So it's just something I want you to focus on when we start this Pro Staff series, on how to get into Pro Staff, what a Pro Staff means, how to be a good Pro Staffer and not a shit Pro Staffer, because there's a lot of them out there that they just want the discount, man. That's not real Pro Staffing, okay? You'll find out. You'll find out. There's people right now, I know people getting on a plane. People gonna be coming behind them to ICAST down in Orlando, okay, in the next few days, okay? They're not in it for the 10% off bait deal, okay, Pro Staffing. Those guys down there, the guys are legit pros, okay? Professionals, okay, who understand what their marketing job is as pro staffers representing brands off the water. It takes a lot of time, and a lot of commitment, a lot of shaking hands, and a lot of meeting people, and a lot of doing all that stuff. You can just watch them all, and you can see who's good at it, and you can see who's comfortable at it, and you can also see who's not really that comfortable doing it, okay? Because it's all based on that dynamic that you can see as soon as you get to an event like that. Any outdoor expo, any outdoor show, you will gravitate to the people that will pull you in. And other brands see that. Other brands see that level of passion in you, okay? And they're watching you, whether you think they're watching you or not. They're seeing you engage people, and they're watching people come over to you in droves, because of your personality, your passion, and your engagement ability with the public. And that's what they want. They don't care whether or not you win the tournament. They don't care if you finish in the top 10. That's your goal. That's your mission. That's not their mission, okay? People confuse that, all right? And so that's how you want to think about it. Take ICAST. Watch some ICAST videos. Make sure you follow that. Watch what happens on the floor of ICAST. If you've ever not been to one of those events, Bassmaster Classic, the Expo. Maybe, I don't know if KBF, Kayak Bass Fishing, is going to have an Expo or not this year. Go and watch on the floor and see how people interact with the people. And you will be able to point out or figure out who the freaking rock stars are in terms of marketing and content and engagement and all of that stuff. You will be able to identify who they are. And those are the people that you want to follow and see and learn from. Not necessarily the guy who's killing it on the water, who's putting out videos but not telling you anything about the baits he's fishing, not telling you anything about where he's fishing, not telling you anything. You're just watching a guy catch fish with no audio. Okay? And so That's how you want to differentiate yourself. You know, and each platform is different, and we're going to break down the platforms, the different platforms that you can utilize, different platforms that I will have, that I will personally mentor my pro staff for the tackle company, and how to do it, and how to, you know, to understand how posts and understand how algorithms work and understand how engagement and impressions and all that works, what time of day, all of that good stuff. And it's just stuff that, you know, once you get around to doing and it becomes natural in behavior in terms of you when you're out on the water at the ramp before you launch, when you come in, recap your day, talk about your baits, talk about your line, talk about your rod, talk about your boat, talk about your kayak, talk about your batteries, talk about whatever you're talking about, okay, that you want to talk about on that given day. Share with people, educate people, inspire people. Those are the most successful YouTubers. Those are the most successful people that have monetized their channel. It's not, I finished first in the Elite Series, okay? Or I won the KBF or Hobie National Championship. It's not necessarily those people, okay? It's people that inspire, educate, okay? And if you can do both, if you manage to get that magic in a bottle, where not only are you a great communicator, a great engager with the public, a great public speaker, a great content provider, and you happen to be a freaking hammer, I mean, like who wins a national championship or wins a Bassmaster Classic or wins a MFL Pro Tour event or wins whatever is you're passionate about, that's juice in a bottle. I mean, that's just a miracle lightning bolt in a bottle. And you will absolutely blow up. You see that after the Bassmaster Classic every year. That person always blows up. Okay? And then, what happens? It's up to that person. They've been given it, and it's what they do with it. Some continue to go, and others have that platform for a little bit, and then they just kind of fade away. Okay? When it's only about the win, you fade away. When you leverage that win with everything else, that's success, okay? That's where the success comes from. The success is not necessarily the win or the championship game, okay? It's not always that, okay? It's what you do with it when you get that, when you've been afforded the opportunity to get there and win that. What do you do with it? How do you leverage it, okay? So that's where we're at. Just a pro staff video. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's going to enjoy the weather out. Whoever's getting out fishing, it's going to be 100 degrees in the mid-Atlantic this weekend. So it's going to be crazy, crazy hot. So be careful. Remember that. Remember your sun. Trust me. Remember your sunscreen. Remember all your safety stuff. Do all that. Stay hydrated, mates. Please, please stay hydrated. Okay. That's the last thing you want to do is have a day where you come off the water dehydrated. Trust me. You just don't want that to happen. All right, mates.